What's up, NBA fan? What's up, all sports fans? This your boy JB, host of the Behind the Bench Podcast Network and channel, giving a shout out to the rest of the crew. Shy, Kevin, Jermaine, KB Film Room, Big Dog Talk Sports. That's right, that's right. Everyone who's tuning in, thank you for supporting Behind the Bench. Subscribe to the channel. Help make this show the best that it can be. Hey, like I said, man, gig been up, dog. Gig been up for the past 5 years. It's been all smoke and mirrors, man. And like I said, man, I'm not trying to be a downer or a party pooper. I'm not trying to troll. But when you start adding pieces of the puzzle together, man, and you really understand the NBA landscape, you know what time it is, dog. You know what time it is. And we saw a prime example of that last night as the Los Angeles Lakers took on the San Antonio Spurs in this, this in-season NBA Cup, whatever they want to call that thing, man. But what we saw are two teams that are really headed in two different directions. Meaning, you got one team that's being put together every year, then you got another team that is being built over a period of time. And the teams that are being built over a period of time are going to have the edge over the team that's being put together to try to go for broke. And this has been the trend, and this will continue to be the trend for the foreseeable future. And this trend kicked off about 4 years ago. As the Spurs went into LA and beat the Lakers by the score of 132-119. And I'm telling you, people, the reality is this. The gig has been up since the bubble, man. And I know the Lakers had a, supposedly strong start. But if you look at certain factors, man, the schedule that they had, some other manipulation that was going on, made them appear to be better than what they were. But if you really look at it, over the past week and a half, they lost 3 of their last 5 games. You see what I'm saying? And eventually, the young squads that were coaches and front offices have allowed for their young players to grow and develop, they're going to start to gain ground in the standings, particularly in the Western Conference. If you look at San Antonio Spurs, they won last night without Victor Wemby. Imagine if he would have played last night. And I didn't even realize this. And this is where I keep saying where you're going to take a hit on the back end when you give up everything on the front end. The Lakers are last in the league in point production off the bench. The Spurs are 8th in the league. And we saw that last night. Now, Marcus Smart came off the bench and scored like 27 points, but they gave him the open shot because they knew they had the game. His points were really it had no bearing on the outcome. They was already up by 18, 20 points. That's not going to get it done, man. When I'm trying to say, people, in a playoff situation with the healthy Wemby, Spurs would beat this team. They got like a 4-guard rotation of Stephen Castle had a great game last night. He had like 30 points, 10 rebounds. And I'm not trying to be a negative with the Lakers, man. I'm not. I just respect what's going on in the league. And my eye test and just observation and understanding how important talent evaluation, talent development, and upholding the value of your assets is going to be in this decade. And we're seeing it full-fledged now in the NBA. But he had 30 points and 10 rebounds. Devin Vassell had a good game. De'Aaron Fox played steady. He didn't try to outshoot the Lakers. He played within the game plan. And then they attacked the basket. They broke the defense down from the top of the key and from the wing positions. And that allowed a Harrison Barnes to get good looks. And his shot was falling last night because of the rhythm of their offense. And they did this without Wemby, man. And that's why I say, when you build piece by piece, you see the results on the court because those teams had better flow. They had better rhythm. You see what I'm saying? And like I said, man, they have no bench scoring. None. And their pace, they can't keep up with the. It's the difference between having young players, you bringing young players to the team just for the sake of saying that you have young players, knowing that you gave up the real young talent, versus young players who are being developed. It's a different structure, and you see the results on the court. This team has lost 3 out of the past 5 games. They lost convincingly at home twice over the past week. And that game against Philadelphia, if Embiid plays average, remember he shot like 4 for 21. If he played average, Philadelphia win that game. Well, I'm trying to say, people, man, the gig has been up. And welcome to the real NBA. Not the NBA that these talking heads want to be. Not the NBA that they want people to convince that of what they think they seeing, but the real NBA. And I've been fighting tooth and nail, explaining this verbatim during there every day throughout the course of the past 5 years when the season is in play. The youth is winning out. The development is winning out. Having assets is winning out. So when this started in summer 2018, because it all goes back to that, because anytime after one of these games, when the Lakers lose like this, the people that's covering the team, you know what they say? What do we need? We need this. We need that. So when you start talking like that, what that means is you're not close. And like I said, when you're losing in the first round 2 years straight, you can't go from that to talk about for the next year, we gunning for a championship. It don't work like that. OKC didn't reach the top doing that. They suffered a playoff loss 2 years ago when they lost to Dallas in the conference semifinals in a tough 6-game series, where they lost game 6 by like a point. They lost game 6 by a point. But they learned from that. They made improvements. Boom, here they are, man. Look at the Spurs. 4 years ago, they was at the bottom. They drafted Wemby. They didn't make the playoffs his first 2 years. They improved a little bit last year. They dealt with some injuries. They didn't make the play-in or the playoffs. Now look at them, man. It don't take long. Even a team like Phoenix is playing above expectations. You still got Denver out there with a prime Jokic. They made improvements. Minnesota, even as uneven as they're playing, they're still right there in terms of, they're going to be a contender. They just need to make an improvement, make an acquisition. Okay. Houston, they got the tallest front court in the league. And remember opening night against OKC, they was in position to win that game. But OKC held on and pulled it out in overtime, if I'm not mistaken. So what I'm saying, people, man, and this ain't about Luka. This ain't about Luka Doncic at all. What I'm saying is, when you continue to trade off what you need to bring in a superstar, what you need, what you gave up to get that superstar, that's what you're gonna need down the road. And it's gonna be quicker than what you think. 2 years ago, and I'm gonna close this up. When they brought in all them young players from their Westbrook trade, Vanderbilt, Hachimura, they've been playing out of position since they got there. Hachimura is not a 4, and matter of fact, he's really not a starter, because when they traded for him, he was coming off the bench in Washington after Kyle Kuzma was given his starting position. Vanderbilt is not even part of the rotation because he cannot score. You see what I'm saying? And if you can't score in a role that requires it, that's why JJ Redick. I'm not saying JJ Redick is a great coach because he still has no coaching. He still had no coaching experience before he was hired to be the head coach of the Lakers. What I'm saying is this, man. What I'm saying is this, dog. When they keep on saying every year what you need, you don't have no real future, man. You just winging it, man. You bringing in superstars that's younger. Like you essentially replace Anthony Davis with a 26-year-old version of himself and Luka Doncic. When they got AD at first, he was 26 years old. They felt he was on the other downside of his prime. They traded and brought in a younger superstar, right? To give the impression that we have a future, man. And I'm just trying to be realistic, because the thing is, it's not like they've been dominating in the West since all this started. No, it's just been 1 year, and other teams have gotten stronger. They start like you've had two teams that have started over in the OKC Thunder, or actually three teams. OKC Thunder after trading away Paul George and Westbrook, the Houston Rockets after trading away James Harden and Westbrook, and then the San Antonio Spurs after the Tim Duncan era ended with Ginobili and Park and all that. They start all over again. Here they are already, man. Memphis Grizzlies, quiet as it's kept, if it wasn't for injuries, they'd be right there too. And they right there a couple games below 500. So if they got healthy, you know they're going to make a push a little bit. So what I'm saying, people, what I'm saying is this, man. This thing is real, man. The NBA is real. See, the critique about what's going on, threes and all this, man, when you watch these games, dog, you can clearly see that this young talent being coached up, man. And eventually they will balance out their play to where you have inside, outside play, where the three ball will be utilized in a more mature, appropriate fashion, rather than just coming out there jacking them up, hoping some fall. The league is getting away from that. So once again, the Spurs came up in L.A., beat them by 13 points without Wemby. So what I mean, when it comes to a matchup against the Lakers, they're gonna be ahead of the curve. Now Luka had 30-some points, but he had 24 points in the first half. They kind of kept him in check in that second half. Well, the Hurricane, like I said, he at the end of the road, 19 points, and then Austin Reeves, and he's a good player. Now the thing about Rich Paul and what he said about Austin Reeves is true, but he said it with a disingenuous point of view. Austin Reeves could be a great six-man level player. That's my projection for him when I first saw him during this rookie season. But because of the fact that the Lakers lack talent of their own, they've created a situation with Reeves to where he's being allowed or being put in a position to generate point per game average as if he is a superstar. But when you really defend him, make him work on the defensive end, and where he's not getting to the free throw line, you're seeing the real Austin Reeves. 16 points a game. That's a six-man caliber player. But they have to do that and make him appear to be a superstar because they're devoid of their own talent. It's not his fault. When you capitulate to an outside player from 6.5 years ago, 7 years ago, this is what you have to do to give the impression that the Lakers are on par with the rest of the top teams, the real top teams in the Western Conference. But when you match up and when the officials let the teams play, this is what you're going to see for the foreseeable future. And that's why I say, I hope the Laker brass put an end to this hoax, man. Move on. Detach yourself from this dude clear way. He's not going to lead you anywhere. There's too many teams that have popped up now. You got the king of the hill down there in OKC, right? You still got Jokic in Denver. And Denver is the one team that could possibly beat OKC because now they got the bench. Because ultimately it is hard to repeat. But as far as the teams in LA, both teams in LA are basically in the same boat. Basically. They both got eliminated in the first round 2 years straight. And there's no way to get around that. You don't go from first round to we're going to win the title. Nah, it don't work like that. Nope. It don't work in football. It don't work in the NFL. And for the most part, it don't work in baseball either. So I want to drop that nugget. I mean, it's not a surprise to me. The league figured out how to overcome player empowerment. And I know it feels good to those teams because they ain't got to put up with the crap of having someone forcing them to make moves that's going to lead them nowhere. They better off just building their own thing. They better off building their own thing where you in a constant contention to compete for the championship as a viable organization for a 7 to 8 year run. That's really what you want, man. And let the chips fall where they may. So I want to drop that nugget. Please leave your comments and thoughts. Until next time, your boy JB, BTB, Behind the Bench.